Airport security footage shows a man bursting through terminal doors in full sprint, past confused travelers, past security guards unable to react fast enough, straight toward the exit. The cameras capture him vaulting over a fence before disappearing into the wilderness beyond. That man was Lars Mittank, and this footage has become the most haunting disappearance ever caught on camera. This was not a movie scene. This was real life, captured in broad daylight at Bulgaria's Varna airport on July 8, 2014. 10 years later, there is still no explanation for what Lars was running from, or if he was running from anything at all. This is the Lars Mittank case, a mystery that has captivated millions around the world. Lars Mittank was a 28-year-old German man who should have been heading home from a vacation with friends. Instead, his final moments were recorded on CCTV footage that has been viewed over 15 million times. What started as a typical summer getaway to Bulgaria's Golden Sands resort became one of the most baffling missing person cases of the last decade. When someone vanishes in broad daylight, in front of multiple security cameras with hundreds of witnesses around, the questions multiply endlessly. Before we get to that chilling airport footage, let's talk about who Lars really was. By all accounts, he was completely ordinary, and that's what makes this case so unsettling. Lars lived in Berlin with his mother. He worked as a facilities management contractor. Steady, reliable work. Friends described him as dependable and level-headed, the type of person others could count on. He was not known for erratic behavior, had no history of drug use, and no documented mental health issues. In every way, Lars was ordinary. In June 2014, Lars booked a vacation to Bulgaria's Black Sea coast with 4 friends. Golden Sands Resort offered cheap accommodations, beach access, and the typical summer party atmosphere. It was meant to be a week of relaxation before returning to normal life. No one could have predicted that this routine trip would transform Lars into one of Europe's most famous missing persons. For the first few days, everything went exactly as planned. The guys were having a blast, partying, hitting the beach, doing typical vacation stuff. But on July 6th, just 2 days before they were supposed to fly home, something happened that would change everything. Lars got into an altercation at a local bar. The details are fuzzy. Some reports say it was over a soccer match on TV. Others suggest it was more random. What we know for certain is that Lars ended up with a ruptured eardrum. Not life-threatening, but definitely painful and potentially serious if left untreated. His friends were ready to head back to Germany as scheduled, but when Lars visited a local doctor, he was told he couldn't fly. The pressure changes could cause permanent damage to his already injured ear. The doctor prescribed antibiotics, specifically cefuroxime, and told Lars he'd need to wait at least a few days before it would be safe to travel. So his buddies flew home without him. Lars was stuck in Bulgaria, alone, injured, and on medication he'd never taken before. This is where things began to unravel. What happened next is where this case takes a sharp turn from unfortunate accident to genuine mystery. Within 24 hours of his friends leaving, Lars's behavior changed dramatically. He called his mother back in Berlin, and she immediately knew something was wrong. Lars sounded paranoid, scared. He told her he thought people were following him, that he didn't feel safe. When she asked who was following him, he couldn't give her a straight answer. That same night, Lars packed up and moved to a different hotel without explanation. Security footage from his original hotel shows him in the lobby late at night, pacing back and forth, constantly looking over his shoulder. He appears agitated, anxious, like someone being hunted. The next day, July 7th, Lars sent text messages to friends suggesting he was in danger, though again, he couldn't specify what kind of danger or from whom. Hotel staff later reported that he seemed increasingly withdrawn and suspicious of everyone around him. So what was happening to Lars? Was this paranoia caused by the antibiotic he was taking? Some side effects of cefuroxime include anxiety and confusion. Or was it the head trauma from the bar fight? Sometimes concussions can cause delayed psychological effects. Or was Lars actually in danger? Was his paranoia justified? July 8, 2014. Lars had decided he was done waiting. Injured ear or not, he was getting out of Bulgaria. He took a taxi to Varna airport and bought a ticket on the next flight to Berlin. But there was one problem. He still needed medical clearance to fly with his ear injury. So Lars went to the airport's medical clinic for a quick checkup. The doctor examined him and was apparently about to clear him for travel.
Then something happened that no one has ever been able to explain. According to witnesses in the clinic, Lars suddenly became extremely agitated. He started talking rapidly in German, mentioning something about not wanting to die. Before anyone could react, he jumped up and bolted from the medical office. What happened next has been viewed by millions of people online, and it never gets less chilling to watch. Security cameras picked up Lars as he ran through the airport terminal. This wasn't a casual jog. He was in full panic mode, sprinting like his life depended on it. Past confused travelers hauling suitcases, past security guards who were too shocked to immediately react, straight toward the exit. The footage shows Lars bursting through the terminal doors and continuing to run across the parking lot. He doesn't slow down, doesn't look back, doesn't stop until he reaches the perimeter fence. In one fluid motion, he scales the fence and disappears into the fields and forest beyond the airport property. The last confirmed sighting of Lars Mittank shows him running into the wilderness outside Varna Airport at approximately 2:30 p.m. on July 8th, 2014. And from that moment, nothing. Complete silence. In the 10 years since Lars vanished, theories about what happened have multiplied like wildfire, especially online, where that airport footage has turned him into something of an internet phenomenon. Let's break down the main possibilities. The medical explanation is probably the most straightforward. Cefuroxime, the antibiotic Lars was prescribed, can cause neurological side effects including anxiety, confusion, and paranoia, especially when combined with alcohol, which Lars had definitely been consuming. Add in a possible concussion from the bar fight, and you have a recipe for a psychological breakdown. In this scenario, Lars wasn't running from anyone real. He was running from his own mind. The mental health theory suggests that the stress of being alone in a foreign country, combined with physical trauma and medication, triggered some kind of acute psychotic episode. This would explain the paranoid phone calls, the hotel switching, and ultimately the airport panic. Unfortunately, people experiencing psychotic breaks often flee into remote areas where they can easily become lost or injured. But then there's the foul play angle, and this is where things get really dark. What if Lars's paranoia was justified? What if someone really was after him? Some theorists point to Bulgaria's reputation for organized crime and human trafficking. Maybe Lars witnessed something he shouldn't have during that bar fight. Maybe the random altercation wasn't random at all. There's also the voluntary disappearance theory, though most investigators consider this unlikely. The idea is that Lars staged his own disappearance to escape some problem back home. But there's zero evidence of financial trouble, relationship issues, or legal problems that would motivate such a drastic step. What makes this case so fascinating and frustrating is that we have more footage of Lars's final moments than almost any other missing person case. Yet somehow, all that video evidence only deepens the mystery. Today, more than 10 years later, Lars Mittank remains missing. His mother still holds out hope, still follows up on tips and reported sightings. There have been occasional claims of people spotting him across Europe, hitchhiking in Romania, working construction in Greece, living rough in the Bulgarian mountains. But none of these sightings have ever been confirmed. The Bulgarian authorities initially searched the area around the airport, but the terrain is challenging. Dense forest, rocky hills, plenty of places where someone could become lost or hidden. Without a specific direction to focus their efforts, the search area was simply too vast. The The case officially remains open, but active investigation has essentially stopped. Unless new evidence emerges, Lars has effectively vanished into thin air, despite being caught on camera every step of the way. The question remains, what happened to Lars Mittank on that July afternoon in 2014? Was he a victim of his own mind, driven to panic by medication and head trauma until he fled into the wilderness? Was he actually being pursued by dangerous people who caught up with him after he left the airport? Or is there another explanation entirely? The cameras captured him running, but they cannot reveal what was in his head, what he was thinking, or what he feared. They show the action, but not the reason. Without understanding the reason, Lars Mittank remains one of the most haunting unsolved mysteries of our time. Until someone finds Lars, alive or deceased, the truth remains buried somewhere in those fields outside Varna Airport. The mystery endures, waiting for answers that may never come. What do you think happened that day in Varna? Was it paranoia caused by injury and medication? Or was Lars truly running from someone who wanted him dead? Let me know your theories in the comments below. And if you want more mysteries like this, don't forget to subscribe to Mystery Case Diaries, because the truth is out there, waiting to be uncovered.